I get asked this all the time in the comments, sometimes maybe sincerely, sometimes definitely not. The question's simple: why are you still here? After all, it's been 13 years now, and I've been here for 10 of them. Star Citizen has been stuck in this cycle where one patch fixes something, and the next one breaks it again. Everything's been on fire, and yet here I am still making videos about this whole damn thing. Throw sunk cost fallacy in there, copium, whatever buzzword you want. I've never really had an answer that didn't sound like I was Jyn Erso either. Until yesterday. Genesis Planet Tech is coming in 4.11. When CIG added Nyx 1 on the roadmap, that made me realize I'm not really waiting for that game anymore. It's coming together now. To put it in perspective, there's an image from the early days that stuck with me through all of this. I remember seeing this concept art when I started backing the game, and it spoke to me in a way most of the spaceship stuff just didn't. There's this huge city in the distance, but you're outside of it, surrounded by wilderness, ships moving through the sky, and this whole world stretching out around you. I remember talking about it on Reddit back then, and somebody basically told me that you'll never see that in the game ever, that it was concept art selling a fantasy that a game can never deliver on that scale. Well, looking at Genesis now, for the first time, I think we might. You see, for most of those 13 years, the answer to why I'm still here was hope. Hope that eventually enough of the pieces would come together and Star Citizen would become something close to the game they've been describing all this time. Would it ever be everything they promised? Absolutely not. I gave up on that version a long time ago. Close enough is all I want. And yes, I know how stupid it sounds that the thing I'm pointing at is a roadmap update. We spent years watching CIG talk about things before they knew if they could build them, and they could build them, or sometimes whether they were even good ideas. They've closed development as much as they possibly could, which is a backer first and a YouTuber second that I hate. But the trade-off is when something finally does show up now, it's usually much closer to actually being in our hands. And apparently we're getting the first real gameplay built around the idea that planets can be way more interesting and important than they are now. And that's coming in 4.11. And if I'm being honest, I wouldn't give a fuck if CIG dumped 100 more of the planets we have today in our lap. Right now, most of the planets in Star Citizen are something you travel across. They're completely empty landscapes that sell scale, but I think they lack purpose and they don't inspire me at all. You fly over them to get to a bunker, you land on a surface near a cave. For a lot of us, we go to distribution centers to farm gear or loot boxes. The planet was never important, it's just a placeholder to get you to another piece of content. Star Citizen right now is obsessed with travel. It's not a stretch to break down my gameplay into this uninspiring blurb. Leave the hangar, quantum somewhere, fly down, do the thing or watch the mission fail on me, fly back up, quantum somewhere else. Half the game is commuting between the parts of the game where the gameplay actually lives. And that's where everything's going to change, because the Starchitect mission pack is supposed to create sandbox missions across sprawling planetary locations with more localized objectives specifically designed to keep players planetside longer. The example that they've talked about is basically clusters of related locations. You might do something at one point of interest and move a few kilometers to another one instead of flying back into orbit every couple minutes. Starchitect starts filling in the space between those destinations. You'll land somewhere and there's a believable area around it, something to explore, maybe a settlement, a resource site, another faction nearby. Something's always just happening right over the ridge, and you'll have reasons to stay there. Planets themselves could become content. Sorry, gotta do the YouTube thing. If you're enjoying this, join the crew and subscribe, you'll fit in. And that's why Genesis excites me so much. I've talked before about Star Wars Galaxies and the things that the game did more than 20 years ago that I still don't think modern MMOs have properly replaced. I had a house on top of a mountain in the middle of nowhere. I've stood in player cities almost a kilometer across that no developer designed, with cantinas and doctors and vendors, built by people who just decided that that spot was where they'd set up their in-game lives. The world wasn't just there to funnel you towards content. You could go find resources, then you'd build real structures to harvest them, and you'd end up using those resources to build an economy around them. The game allowed you to change the planet itself by putting down that house, by building that town, by starting a community. You own that space of the world. It's the part I've always wanted Star Citizen to inherit and improve upon. Planetech V5 by itself obviously doesn't magically make that happen, but it's foundational to it. The roadmap description calls this a complete rework of how planets are built, populated, and rendered. Back at CitizenCon last year, they talked about emergent biomes driven by actual physical properties of the planets, rocks and stuff being scattered according to more natural behavior, and completely reworked terrain shading for things like sand, dirt, rocks, snow, moving the generation and spawning onto the GPU so that they can build denser environments without murdering performance quite as badly. All of those things are wins. But most of all, this is the foundation of base building and the reminder that it's going to be real soon enough. There's even a population manager on the roadmap as part of this Genesis push, with the goal of creating inhabitants that make sense for the local environment. The Ninetales dudes running around outside bunkers shirtless with ski masks on planets with no atmosphere was peak Star Citizen. In a way, I'll be sad to see them go. It's kind of the end of an era. But let's be clear, nobody's putting population manager in giant yellow letters on a thumbnail this morning. Actually, I take that back. Board Gamer probably will. And I'm not saying that with hate, I love the guy. But this is the stuff that determines if the game feels real enough to get you to believe it, rather than a world that's just populated by mannequins waiting for you to shoot them. I totally dig that. But I know that we've never once received a feature in the shape that it was announced in. Things get delayed, features come in half working. Nix 1 could show up in 4.11, and the server overload might make all of the grass fields run at like 4 frames per second when the wind blows. Starkitect could generate the same 3 buildings everywhere, and then I'll be back here making a video about why that sucks. I'm not telling you any of this is guaranteed to work because you know better than that. I'm also not going to rage about it if it doesn't. I don't care about the performance issues around the Siege of Orison. That will get solved just like the problems of 3.18 got solved. Same thing with bugs, raging about that contributes nothing, neither does making the same criticism for the 100th time, when CIG already knows it's broken just to get my views. I've always wanted to present an alternative for people that are tired of the performative bullshit. It's a true statement, and I've said many times now that YouTube is completely irrelevant anyway. So if you want to know why funding never stops and there's a huge disconnect between the outrage and the frustration you see on this platform, and what has to be the overall silent majority's feeling on the state of the game, well then this roadmap update is all you need to look at. In the last 10 months, we've got a lot of deliverables, and how quickly everybody forgets that, right? Go back to CitizenCon 2025 and look at what they showed us. Nix came into the game with Levski immediately after it. The Vandal finally became something we could encounter and fight in the PU. Interstellar hauling came with it, so cargo could move between Stanton, Pyro, and Nix, making cargo a real career with depth and options. Finally, all the ship sizes have something to do when it comes to hauling. There's a real treadmill there for upgrading your ship, too. The rock cracker concept they showed became the QV breaker stations, and they're awesome. Crafting, something I've been excited for years, started to feel like one of those features that would always just be one more year away. But it's in the game now. Tactical strike groups are in too. You could literally make a game that is nothing but tactical strike groups and it would blow away most of the space games out there. But here it's just one piece of content. Think about that. And now, the instancing technology and the new Siege of Orison are coming in 4.10. That's a hell of a lot of stuff from one presentation, and it hasn't even been a year yet. Is it really so hard to believe that people are excited about the direction of the game? Not to me. This is the evolution of Star Citizen that I've been waiting for. And that's my 8-minute answer for why I'm still here. I had hope. Now that dream's taken shape. No regrets. If you still don't get it, maybe you never will. See you in the verse.